Excellent. Hello and welcome back to DevOps Speakeasy at Kong Summit 2022. And now I have a pleasure and honor to host Denis Magda with me here. And Denis, what are you doing here?
I mean, first, Mama, hello. I'm on TV, in the internet. Finally, the day has happened. I'm speaking at Con. My talk is about Java-distributed applications.
Java distributed.
Java or like Python, it doesn't matter. We are going to discuss an architecture that helps application developers to deploy and create apps that work across multiple availability zones and multiple regions in the cloud. Because you have to take into account several design options. And certainly Con is one of the components of this architecture. So this is what we are going to talk about.
And all right, so a little bit of details. How Kong helps in writing distributed applications? What it has to do with it?
Because a distributed application, if to give a definition, it's an application that spans across multiple zones or regions, data centers for the sake of availability, performance, and compliance, blah, 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 all that standard, marketing hype. But when you deploy multiple application instances, and usually those application instances are not monolith, they consist of multiple microservices. Those microservices have to communicate, have to talk to each other somehow. And Con, Gateway, and the rest of the ecosystem is an ideal solution for that. And today, we are going to review when you, let's say, my talk is about a Slack-like messenger. Probably, do you use Slack?
I do use Slack.
You use Slack, or you might be using Teams, but anyway, that's an example of a geo-distributed app that runs across multiple continents and countries for several reasons. And we are going to break down into pieces the architecture of a Slack-like messenger, where Con is used there as the API layer. And also, we will focus on the database layer. I'm representing the database company.
No,
this way?
Excellent.
All right. Fix it.
Oh, here we go.
This way.
Yeah. Yep. Excellent. All right. So database, yeah, and how database fits into this picture.
Every application and microservice needs to store data somewhere and retrieve data somewhere. Ultimately, even if your microservice directly doesn't communicate to a database, it might be getting data from some database through another microservice. And when you deploy an application that runs across, let's say, US West and US East regions, the database also has to be distributed.
And you also do this Con?
Yeah, Con in that architecture of a Slack-like messenger, I'm going to talk about YugaByteDB. That's a distributed SQL database that is built on PostgreSQL. And with that one, you have several deployment options, because with databases, there is no any silver bullet solution of how you deploy your database across multiple regions and zones. You have to decide, because there are many trade-offs. But you have to have this database. And if you're talking about geo-distributed apps, your database also has to be geo-distributed.